eyes was a flame of fire. On his head were many crowns, and he had a name written that no man knew but he himself.
What you gonna say? What can you inform us, man? Go ahead.
You're saying that the Jews are necessarily black, but then you're saying that people weren't
The
originally
Bible said they're black.
Right, we believe that the Bible is an original text. After thousands of years of being oppressed and then being forced out of our land, not just my land, not just your land, but our land.
You were forced out. Where did you go?
To Europe, went to Spain. And then
You're alive. Go ahead. Let's read it. Let's find out. Let's find out. Let's find out. Go ahead. Let's find out.
That's the book of Lamentations, chapter 5, verse 10 of the NOT. The famine has blackened our skin.
What?
The famine has blackened our skin.
Go ahead.
As though baked in an oven.
We get no, I'm saying black people when they get in the sun, they get darker, man. You telling me you can turn black?
I can.
You can't turn black?
No, I can't.
You can't, right? Because the sun is against you. The precious sun. Go ahead.
Psalms 121, verse 6 in the GNT. The sun will not hurt you.
The sun will what?
The sun will not hurt you.
The sun will not hurt the children of God because we got melanin. You go on IG. Who them baddest IG models? It's our black Hispanics, man. You got white people trying to wear all kind of makeup to look darker, like us. The word is standard of beauty, man. And the Bible speaks about all these things, man. We are the best people on the planet Earth.
You're not trying to understand. You're just trying to talk into a goddamn microphone.
Who's to say that one person?
I'm going right now.
Who's to say that one person is better than another person?
You say who's to say one person is better than another? Deuteronomy 7 and 6.
I want to give all the praises and the honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruach HaKodash, and double honors to the elder apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Honors to you other brethren. Shalom to you other followers. Shalom to you sisters, and shalom to the elect. Anyway, I want to go in this video that I didn't really critique the video, but it's, you know, we must bring truth. This video is by Sicarii. It's titled Jewish Boys versus Israelites. Who's the real Jew? Now, we understand by the title what we teach and what we believe, but just going further to the debate, that Jake, as us, we must realize that you're going to have Israelites that almost look like them, that's even in that land. That's why the scripture says to try the spirit. If the spirit bear witness. Now these guys don't seem to be Jakes, but you got to try that spirit. It's not always about that white skin, you know, that white looking skin. And they were right, because I'm talking about these Jewish guys on one point where they said the race mixing or whatever. It's not really a race mix, but a blood mix. You know, you had Alexander and then went down into Egypt and so-called mixed with the Egyptians, right? And then, of course, we were going into Egypt. So through generation to generation, you got the Ephraimites, you know, they look like a certain way, you know, and they might have been darker, even the Moabites. So you've seen this over the generations. This is why you got to go with the spirit, you know, instead of just looking at somebody and it makes a great video because you're cutting them. Now, for truth's sake, the brothers in Sicarii was correct on the fact that the original Jews was so-called black. When you really go into the terminology of black, it just means dark color, right? Which you must have color to be so-called black. Now, black has a definition of being evil or without void of light or whatever. But the Old English definition of black was dark in hue, or dark in colored. That's why we were called colored people. And that's where they came with the terminology, also calling us black. And then they made the black a negative statement, like the black, the devil's food cake was a dark brown, really, and the angel's food cake was a white. So you see, through racism and white supremacy and through the Renaissance is what changed all that, you know, when this man came on the scene and brought that divide and conquer madness. And I'll get a couple scriptures. Deuteronomy 28:64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth even unto the other. So we all just didn't leave Israel and just come over to the Americas. The majority of the Israelites did come here, but then there was some that's, well, we're all over the world, but I'm talking about the tribe of Judah and maybe some of the other tribes mixed amongst them. You know, the good portion of them are here, right? But then you had the northern tribes who was already here and then scattered along with the southern tribes. So we were scattered. We were dispersed in all lands, even in Israel. So our people are still there. Not the Des Moines people that took counsel and went over there, but our seed is scattered. That's why the super elites make sure they keep that line clean, right? These guys here that you see that's debating Sicarii, they don't even know. They haven't a clue what real history is, man. They was just taught that as being set up as a tool, you know what I'm saying, to keep the truth hidden. That's the best way I can say it, right? As a tool to keep the truth hidden. I'm just going raw with this. John 6:63 says, the spirit that quickeneth the flesh profiteth nothing. But let's go over here to Revelation 7. And this is the whole point I'm trying to make. The brothers of Sicarii is correct. But when we pull out the scriptures about being black, so to speak, that was in that time, right? And then you still had some so-called mixing going on. But there was no real reason to sit up there and say, hey, I'm black, or like Yahushua was, John was saying, okay, his feet is like fine brass. Because fine brass is black in itself, or dark, before it gets the other color. And the brothers made also a good point that I always make, because Vocab Malone and them will say, well, that them scriptures when they talk about black is talking about visage or their continent or whatever. But then there was some reality to some of them getting black, which means when you already kind of dark in complexion or hue or even brown, you become your complexion become pale and dull, is darker. So your continent is darker and you actually become darker. You don't see people like that, as he admitted, become dark from a visage or famine or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a way of going about it in these debates. You know, because if I was out, you know, we had debates, but not with them. But if I was going into this debate, I would say, well, sure. I mean, he did bring out the fact that there was so-called mixing and, you know, we scattered and moved through all out the globe. That's what the Lord did. So all Israelites are not going to be black. This is a fact. Right? Let's go to Revelation 7 and 9. It says, after this I beheld, this is John, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and peoples and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hand. This is a Christian, a scripture Christians gets construed and all mixed up. When you really look at this scripture, this is not talking about skin color. This is talking about nationality, Israelites. That's all it's talking about. Because remember, we're scattered through the nations. Now, a Negro could be numbered, but the Israelites can't. Right? We'll prove that. When you look at the word a great multitude, right? When you look at this word multitude, the reference for G3793, let's look at this definition. It means, it doesn't say much, I'm sure, I remember that. It says a crowd, casual collection of people, multitudes of men who have flocked together in some place, multitude. Doesn't really say much on it. So now we got to go to the precepts, right? And we can go to Genesis 32, and looks like 11. It says, deliver, I pray thee, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he will come and smite me, and the mother with the children, right? And thou sayest, I will surely do thee good, and make thy seed as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for a multitude. So this is what we see in the Israelites will be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for a multitude. Where do we see this at? We see this in Hosea 1 and 10. Yet the number of the children, and this is also quoted by Paul in Romans the 9th chapter, I believe the 20-something verse. It says, yet the number, I think 9:26, it says, yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered for a multitude. So when we go back here to Revelation 7 and 9, and it says, after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude. This is clear that we're talking about the Israelites. Right? But what John saw was something a little different. Like when we go into Isaiah 14, when it says, and the strangers shall join unto them. Those are actually Israelites. I don't know how other groups break that down, but it all makes sense. So now when we go on down here, that no man could number, we just see this in Hosea 1 and 10, right? And it says of all nations, which you know go to ethnos and ethnic, right? And kindreds, when we look at the nations, let me go into that too, and we're going to get to the kindreds. Nations is a multitude associated living together, company of troop, a multitude of individuals of the same genetic genus, which goes back to genetic makeup. So in other words, you have Blake Griffin, who has a son, who his mother was white, his father was an Israelite, his mother could have been an Eve, and she just looked white, right? But then because off the father, that's why we can't go into black and white, the father, Blake Griffin, has a son who looks white and blonde hair and blue eyes. He grew up and messed with another so-called white woman. Guess what you have? Guys look like them. That's when you have Israelites look like them. Remember Deuteronomy 28, he said, thy seed shall be cursed. Right? You're not supposed to really pay for the sins of your father on certain ends. The sin's not passed down, but the Most High through generations have caused us, in this kind of, that's a sickness. You really think about it. That leprous. So we are going to look, some of us are going to look leprous. Some of us are going to look Chinese. Right? Look like Moabites. Some of us will even look like Hamites. We don't look like all nations. Right? It says the human family, a tribe, nation of one group. But it never talks about color. So when we go down here to kindreds, G5543, I go through this all the time. G5543, it says, a tribe in the New Testament is all persons descending from one of the 12 sons of the patriarch of Jacob. So you can't put a skin color on that. But the majority, the majority of us, especially here in the Americas, is going to have some form of tone. But it's not unlikely that you're going to have a good portion of Jake that's going to look white or like other nations. You can't rule that out. And that's why we hate it so much, because we're going to tell the truth like it is. Now, again, you got to watch the video, because I can't put up this whole video because I know what will happen. But you got to watch this video. And the brothers in Sicarii was going in, and they were correct on pretty much the whole thing. The only reason why we bring up the terminology, the Jews were black, is to erase the lies and the strongholds and the sickness of putting up white Jesus and all the white images. If we know from the root of who we were or who we are, and it comes out, and then we can see, then we can go from there. But they didn't give us a chance. They straight up just lied to us and said everybody was white. Then they raised these people to believe that they were the people of the book. And you can even look that name, I'm not going to say, in the Wikipedia, in the online etymology, and it'll say some things. Right? So again, it's true. The brothers, everything they were saying was true. But the other part to add to this is that, no, we're not all going to look the same. Some of us may even look close to these guys. Although we don't like it, or some of us that doesn't understand and is not spiritual enough may not like it, because you're caught up in a carnal aspect of the truth, or what you believe to be the truth, you got to look in the spiritual part. You got to look in the inner. It's the spirit. It's always been the spirit. We've been caught up in that black and white thing too long, man. It's the spirit. It's all about the spirit. But, not to let those guys off the hook, because, the question I would have to ask those guys, and again, this is why I'm keeping the video the way I am, I remember in the beginning of the video, they said it's our book, right? But then when the brothers started going in, now it's about everybody. You see how everything switches? But the question I would have for them is those temples that they worship in, those buildings, and try to spread the news. Why aren't they trying to spread the news and have those same buildings in our neighborhoods? Why aren't there no big outcry on us to wake up to be a part of them? Well, we know the Lord is doing it, but I'm just saying on their ideology. Why there's no big awakening to try to get everybody to become what they are? Is it they trying to keep it a secret for themselves and just only themselves follow it? Or do they know who we really are, right? And that's why they don't want us to become close to what they perceive to be what we already know. I'm pretty sure the answer is simple. And this is how they get down, man. This is how they get down. All right, shalom.